All right, I'm Tim Nicholas with Wood-N-Whimsies, and I've got today Tim Folks with me, who is the maker, designer, and producer of these Scalloped Pen Blanks. So I can open this up and give you a show of kind of what it is. It's just laminated together with some copper pieces inside there, and some extra pieces to do some segmenting with if you desire. But anyway, we're going to talk about how to do this kit. Tim, go ahead and take over and tell me what thing you need here to get started.
Okay, the first thing you're going to notice is that the blank already has a hole drilled through the center. The hole is in the center of the scallop. Oops.
Yep, there you go.
The hole is in the center of the scallop, and we're going to show you how to drill the hole to the size that you need properly in just a few steps. Excuse me. The extra pieces that you get, you can use or not use. These are here in case you want to put a little bit of a trim piece on the end of the blank, or maybe in the center, however you want to do it. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but we're going to show you how. The first thing that you need to determine is whether or not you're going to use the segmented piece. In this case, we are. And the way that I do it, the first step I do is I measure how long my blank needs to be. Just put a mark on there. I will now bring my segmented piece up to that mark and now make another mark. This is my cutoff that would give me the correct length for this piece. But we're going to do it like this pen today with just a little extra on the end of this material. So we're going to add, say, another 1/8 to that, and this will now be our cut mark.
Point it out again.
I'm sorry. This one.
Okay.
Good?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
All right. This mark is our final cut. All right. This is the length that the blank needs to be in order to add the segments. So if we want a segment that's about half the thickness of this, we'll cut that off on the end here, and that's about the same thickness. Give us a little bit of trimming, and this edge is already flat, so that'll get us a good flat glue surface. This piece is molded flat on both sides, so it gives us a good surface also. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is cut off our end piece, and then we'll cut the blank to length. Okay.
All right, let's cut this thing off here now. We might lose the piece down inside the blade guard here, but we'll fish it out if we do. You didn't lose it. There it is. All right, now where's the next cut on this, Tim?
The final, this will be our final cut right here.
And we're going to cut outside that or inside that line?
To the left. Outside.
Outside of that line, okay. So move the saw over. Set the blank up just like that. So we're about to cut outside that line. This piece goes in the garbage, or are we keeping that for something?
We don't need it for this application.
Okay, so we're not going to use that, but we are going to use this piece here.
Correct.
Okay. Are we ready to go back over to the bench?
We're going to take some 240 sandpaper, and we're going to scuff up our metal pieces a little bit so that the glue has something to grab hold of. Scrape it up on both sides. Doesn't take much. And our mating piece also needs to be scuffed up. Okay, that's about it. Now, the sequence is very simple. You want a piece of the metal, your accent piece, another piece of the metal, which is included in your kit, and then the rest of the blank. And we're going to glue those together in that sequence to give you a nice segmented end for the blank. Okay? I use medium glue, and we'll drill the hole later, and it'll drill through this copper and through the accent piece. So I put a nice amount of the glue, concentrate on the center, because you're not going to have anything left on the outside. And you will get glue on your fingers. Now the accent piece. Try to keep it a little square. It makes it drilling a little easier later on. I like to put a little pressure on it and just hold it there until the glue starts to set up a bit. Now come in with the next metal.
And this is copper that you're using on this kit?
On this kit, it's copper. On the other two, it's going to be aluminum. And just hold that until the glue sets.
Shouldn't be but a few seconds.
Nah, shouldn't take much at all. Now, at this point, it should be pretty square. We can sand the edge a little bit. Oh, sorry. We can sand the edge just a little bit to put it in our vise. That's it.
All right.
Next step is drill.
All right, good.
Okay, after we've glued our segments together, we want to take over to the sander, and we want to square off what we just glued together to the rest of the blank. Now, I've already done a lot of that, but we're going to show you anyways. So we'll just bring it over and lightly hit it so that the segments become square again with the rest of the blank.
You don't want to remove any too much of the resin on the side of that blank, because if you do, you're going to set your hole off center and your finished product won't come out straight.
Correct. And now, as you can see, the blank is returned to square. Now we can put it in our vise at the drill press and drill our holes. Now, before we put this in our drill vise, we're going to take a piece of something. It could be a piece of wood. In this case, it's the leftover. We're just going to kind of give it a little tape onto the bottom so that we don't get any breakout when we drill. If there's any breakout, it'll be on the scrap piece. The first hole we're going to do is we're going to put, we're going to go right down through with the 1/4-inch bit so it drills through our segmented piece.
Yeah, we didn't mention the 1/4-inch bit earlier, but add it to the list of materials you need. You need a 1/4-inch bit to chase the original 1/4-inch hole.
I've never used your jig before here.
You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm not hitting the bottom, so I need to adjust the height of my drill here. For a second here. Raise it up. There we go. Start again here. I got to make sure I hold on to the vise real good. What you can do, you can put a clamp on it or however you feel comfortable doing it, but feel fairly confident I can hold it and keep it from jumping around when it goes to the bottom of the hole. So here we go. All right, I'm through. And there's our 1/4 inch hole all the way through the last piece there, and you leave this piece of stuff taped on there, is that correct?
Yeah.
The whole process?
That way we don't have any breakout when we go through with
Okay.
the next steps.
All right, so I'll just put that back in there. Clamp it down. We're gonna go up to our next bit, which is our letter J drill bit. You can use a letter J or you can use a 7mm, either one you want to use, just as long as it is not a grad point bit. We're doing just casing that hole. I got to the bottom, but we're not. Yep, close enough. All right. We're going to go up to the 3/8 inch drill bit.
Drilling these holes in sequence is very important, that you get it straight, that you do it down through the center. If you're off center, it throws your scallops off center. That's why we're chasing the original hole.
So I kind of ease up on the vise a little bit right when it goes into the hole, that way it will center itself. And then I hold it firm and chase the hole. If you're trying to use a grad point bit, it will not center itself. It'll just tear the top of the bit, the blank part. Leaving the chips out of it so they don't get bound up in there and tear up the blank. Up to our final drill bit, which is the 27/64 that we need for our Monet kit that we're going to do. Make sure we're not going to back off the bottom a little bit. I want to drill holes in my vise. There we go. Last one. Here we go. Very careful. Centered. Ease up on the pressure on the device. Let it center itself. And chase the hole. If you have your vise clamped to the table, you won't have to let it recenter itself each time. It will already automatically be centered. Very slowly and carefully drill that hole, chasing our original hole.
Anytime you're drilling a polyester resin blank, you want to be careful about heat.
Yeah.
So a good sharp, clean drill bit.
There we go. We should be finished. Should be able to grab a hold of that bit when you're finished. If you can't grab a hold of that bit, then you overheated it and you probably melted the inside of your blank. So if you got one of those little hand drills, you try to drill this with a hand drill, you can't get it to go slow enough, you'll overheat the blank. You'll melt the resin and you'll have a mess. There's our finished product right there. And we are ready to go to the next phase of gluing in the tube, I believe. Is that right, Tim?
Glue the tube.
Okay, we're done then. Good.
Okay, now we're going to glue the tube into the blank, and of course you want to rough up your tube with a little bit of sandpaper before you do that. I can get aggressive with this. When you're gluing the tube in, you want to come as close to the top of this blank as possible.
The top being the scalloped end.
Exactly. It's already sanded very close to what it needs to be. You don't want to go maybe a 30-second or so below where the two pieces meet, where the triangle is. So we're going to glue that up. Normally we'll have something to hold it on to. And I'm pretty generous with the glue.
Using medium CA.
Using medium CA. Okay, I'll do that a little bit. And just push it in there just below the top of the scallops. Just a hair.
You zoom in on that so you see what's going on there. Okay.
Okay. At this point, you can use the accelerator. Excuse me. I can edit that part. Let that set up.
You don't have to really worry about painting the tubes on these because the resin has got enough color in it so it's not really transparent. So.
Right, right. It on darker colors, it does help if you paint your tube black. It can. On lighter colors, I paint them white, but it's usually not necessary on any of the blanks that I cast. This one, it won't matter at all. We won't be able to see it.
Okay.
So now all we got to do is square it off, and we'll do that on the sander. We do not use a barrel trimmer on the scallops. That's a good way to just destroy it. So we're going to use a sander.
All right.
First part we're going to do is the scallops, and again, we're very close to the barrel, the tube barrel, so it doesn't take very much at all. We're there. Another one. We're not going to have much of the orange. Okay. Okay. This is the sleeve for this size of tube. Tim's homemade one, and that holds it on the sander.
Okay. All right, before we want to put this thing on the mandrel and turn it on our lathe, just to keep things safely from busting apart when we touch it with the chisel, what we're going to do is we're going to take these corners off this blank and kind of round things out. If it's more round when you start, it makes it easier to turn. So, would you turn on the sander over there, Tim? Fairly round. All right, we got everything mounted up on the lathe here. What I'm going to do is turn this between centers. I find that turning between centers is the most accurate way to get a nice straight blank without getting any egg shape to it and what have you. You're going to need a dead center, a live center, and a set of bushings for whichever type of pen you're going to use. We're turning a Monet, so we're using Monet bushings. And just set it up to get ready to turn just like that. Make sure everything's tight. Don't over tighten your quill. Just tight enough to hold it in there so it doesn't spin if you flick it with your finger. All right. And then I usually turn everything that I turn at about 1800 RPM. Taking small bites until I get it completely round. You'll notice that the chisel goes right through that copper on there with no problem. Get our strings off there like we want to see. Alright, keep from boring you to death, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off for now. And we'll come back to this when we're almost done. Alright, we're almost done with it here. Just do a couple little finishing touches to finish off the ends. And just kind of very gently put your little shape you want on there, whatever you want to do. Alright, there's one end. Smooth off a couple humps in the middle there. Round off the other end. And I think we're about done there. Okay. Alright. Next thing we want to do, we want to sand and polish this dude. Alright, we're going to move our tool rest out of the way here. Back here, not going to bother us getting in our way. We're going to take Abernet now. I like using Abernet because it gives you a nice smooth even grain finish on your wood. I start with 120 and go through 400. All I'm really doing with this 120 is kind of knocking down the high spots if there's any, giving us a good base for a smooth finish. And one thing I need to do is slow my lathe down. You don't want to get this stuff hot, so slow your lathe down. My lathe right now is probably running between 500 and 600 RPM. No need to run when you're sanding stuff, keep running the lathe at super high fast speeds. All you're going to do is just heat things up and make a mess. Go through all our little phases of Abernet here. This is 180. And just kind of give it a quick once over. This stuff is very efficient. It works very quickly. You don't have to sand for forever and ever. This is our 240. At the end, this is real good. Like I said, you don't have to stand here and sand for forever and ever. Just kind of give it a quick once over. I stop the lathe at a couple points and make sure I cross my sanding patterns. Go to 320. Lathe across the sanding pattern. And go to the last one, which is 400. Going to give us a really nice smooth finish, but we're not done yet. Okay, now you notice our blank is still very dull in color. So what we're going to do now is switch to and use micro mesh. All right, I've got my micro mesh set up here. We're going to start at 1500. There's 9 sheets in the set. We're going to go all the way through to 12,000. By the time we get to 12,000, This baby's going to be gleaming. Let's get started here. There again. Keep your lathe down slow. Start it with the 1500. And for time-lapse purposes, I'm going to turn off the camera now. We'll come back to it when we get to the 12,000. All right, we're finishing up with our 12,000 here. As you can see, we've gone through the process, and we have a very, very, very nice shiny blank there. And it's ready to be assembled. Yep, and then here's our finished pen all put together, nice and shiny. See the little scallops on the front edge of it there. And our little artwork that we did on the back where we laminated that piece inside there, and makes for a very interesting pen. Like I said, we sell these for single blank for $19.99, or you can buy 2 blanks for $18 a piece. We take 10% off. And all is available at Wood-N-Whimsies.